Hailing from San Jose, California, he's a self-taught designer, entrepreneur, investor, speaker, and creative lead who's helped drive growth at companies like Netflix and Coursera. He's known for turning design into a strategic force, data-driven, user-centered, and built to scale. He's about education and inclusion and opening the doors for the next generation of young tech talent. And when I asked him in his spare time, he is a sneakerhead, a dog daddy, and he's just flown in today. Just flew in recently, this week, from Dubai and from Abu Dhabi. So get your notepads and pens out and ready to take lots of notes with the title, From User to Revenue, Essential Growth Design Strategy. Bring the house down, put your hands together for a big round of applause for Fonz Morris. Woo!
Thank you for that intro, man. Thank you for that intro. Appreciate that. Bună ziua, everybody. My name is Fonz Morris. I'm from San Jose. Well, I'm from New York, but I currently live in San Jose. And today I want to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is growth design and monetization. I'm big on talking about how to make money and inspiring people to want to make money and understanding the value that they have. So let's jump into it. So really quickly, I've been in the design space for about 20 years now. I am a 3-time entrepreneur, so I understand where some of you are of just getting your business started. I've also helped Netflix make billions of dollars and get hundreds of millions of users, so I understand what it is to be at that corporate space as well. And I love talking and educating people about different topics, and I'm a mentor and an LP in the fund. So I have a nice round of experience to really be able to feel comfortable to talk about stuff like entrepreneurship and monetization, and my favorite, growth design. So, what is growth design? It's a pretty new term that some people may not have heard of, but it's a really important thing to understand, because when you think of where we are now with the industry of everybody's trying to scale, everybody wants to grow their business to the next step, you have to understand what that takes. That just doesn't automatically happen. If you just build a product, that doesn't mean it's gonna scale. That doesn't mean it's gonna make money. You have to really understand what the different pieces that it takes to make this happen. So why do I think growth design is so interesting is because it bridges the gap between user needs and what it takes to grow a business. And I think it sits in this amazing little space right in between all three of those. It's right in the middle of innovation, it's in the middle of design thinking, and it's in the middle of business strategy. So somebody like me who started their career as a graphic designer, like some of you may have, who has now grown to be what I would consider as a growth design thought leader, I understand that when I first started, all I wanted to do was just make assets. I wanted to make websites for people. I wanted stuff to look good. But there came a point where I realized I need to start generating some money from this. And how do I do this? So then I started to focus more on not just the product that I was creating, but really trying to understand who was I creating this product for? Who is my customer? What problems am I solving for them? What business strategies can I integrate into my designs? And I started to see this become something that was so important to not just a startup, but to any business that's trying to grow. So instead of me looking at things as just being a creative, I became this mixture of a businessman and a design creative at the same time. And I think that's what is so important, and that's where that magic is, being able to kind of balance the two, knowing that you want to make something that's amazing for users, but you have to make something that's going to be beneficial for the business as well. And that's what growth design focuses on. It's not just being the later part of the stage where some people may think we just push pixels or things like that. We're also at the beginning of the process where we're talking with our product owners, we're talking with the business team to make sure that we understand the customers and understand where the business is trying to go. So the thing about growth design that I think is so critical is it takes a human centered approach focused on understanding customer and business needs. So let me give you an example of that. Of course, Netflix wants to add more users as much as they can, but it's gonna be hard to add more users if you're not bringing value to these users. So you can't just say, we want more users. You have to say, how are we going to get these users? And how do you get these users? By actually talking to the users and understanding what's important to them, what problem for them you're solving, and now you becoming that problem solver. I think designers are more problem solvers than anything else. And when you can really hone in and understand that the customer comes first and the customer is important and the business is just as equally important, now you're on your way to being able to not just grow a company, but actually make revenue. So balancing user needs and business goals drives growth and revenue. For every decision that I make, whether it's at Netflix or whether it's talking to other founders or startups, I'm always asking them, do you understand your customer? What is the value that you're bringing to your customer? Because if you don't bring value, you cannot monetize. It's almost impossible. Value is the core of monetization. So if you have a business, if you're a startup, if you're a beginning founder, if you're existing business, always stay focused on the value you are bringing. I think sometimes we start to move fast and we want to add more features to things and we want to launch and we want to do this. And I love all of that. But you know what? As a 3-time founder, I've done that so many times where I just started speeding and I just started thinking that if I just build more stuff and I just launch this and I add this and I add that, that will make the business successful. What ended up happening was I spent all of my budget on engineering and people didn't use any of the features that I actually developed because that's not what they needed. That's what I wanted to build versus me having a true understanding of what my customers actually needed. And that's something that I want you all to focus on is talk to your users as much as possible. You want to know the key to making revenue to me? It's literally understanding what all of my customers want and solving that problem. Here's an example of how Netflix applies growth design, how I apply growth design, and how you can apply growth design. The first step is what I was just saying, empathize. You have to have empathy for your users. Put yourselves in their shoes. Really understand where they are, understand what's important to them, understand the problem that they have, and now, once you have that understood, moving into step 2, which is defining what that problem is. Somebody earlier said you have to have clarity. Like, clarity is so important. I think when we start running, we get so ambitious and we get so driven that we just want to do and build whatever we can, and you kind of lose that clarity. Please do not lose that clarity because that clarity is what will help direct you for the rest of the product development. And after you have that empathy for your users and you've defined what that problem is, now comes the fun part, ideating. Ideating, it's all about trying. You know what's gonna work and what will work. And that's why you wanna ideate so you can see and you wanna just try this, and you get feedback. And if it doesn't work, you change this, you add that. Don't be afraid to build something and get it out there and hear back from people. You don't wanna wait until you think something is perfect because there's no such thing as perfection when it comes to a product. There's always gonna be something that you can change or edit or tweak or fix. So you wanna be in this mind state of we're ideating, we're just trying things, we're trying. And once you figure out what you wanna ideate on, build that prototype, get that quick version done. Last night, I was talking to some founders and they had an amazing example of a prototype. They only had one. And they was asking what should they do next to try to generate some interest in the company. And I was like, share this prototype. This is fantastic what you built. This is proof that you can build something. Now share this and start getting feedback from people. Let people know, do they like this? What would they switch? What would they change? Is this ready to go to market? And then after that, you can test it and get it out to the market and see what people think. If you get good feedback, now you can decide, hey, I'm actually ready to launch this, or if not, don't be afraid to go back to the ideation stage, or go back to the definition stage, or go all the way back to step one, which is the empathize phase. You want to get in this mindset of this process of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can skip some of these steps if you want. You don't have to go through all of the steps, but this is just to give you a framework of how you can think about building your product so you're covering the steps to ultimately be able to monetize. It's gonna be hard to monetize something, like I said, that doesn't have value, and by going through these steps, it will help you understand the value that you're bringing to the customer, who is ultimately the one that will be spending the money that will bring the revenue for your business. So, aligning UX business goals. I think a lot of product people sometimes are they just want to be builders. They don't want to focus on the business side. I was like that when I first started my business. And I realized that if there was anything I can change about my whole career, that is the only thing I would change, is understanding how important it is to align the user experience with the business goals. They are like one in one. And when you can figure that out, you're in that magic spot. So, not to jump into super technical terms and things like that, but when it comes to monetization, there's certain keywords that I want you all to know. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. But setting clear like KPIs, which is key performance indicators, around acquisition or retention and revenue is so important. Please do not wait till later to figure that stuff out. I honestly think you should have a slight understanding of all of this before you build a product, because just because you build a product, that doesn't mean you will be able to acquire users. That doesn't mean that you'll be able to retain those users, and that doesn't mean that you'll be able to make revenue. If you can think about this before you build your product, once you have this product actually developed or you have a prototype, now you can just jump into really trying to grow in these areas. But if you build it and then now you're worrying about acquisition, or you're hoping that people are gonna come now that you have this, it's an uphill battle. And I'm telling you from my personal experience, that is not the way that you wanna go. So crafting a product that sells. Once again, I'm going to keep highlighting how important it is to get user insights. And yes, a company like Netflix, who has billions of dollars, and we can do a ton of surveys and we can talk to millions of people all over the world, that's one example. But you know what? If you're a one-person team or a two-person team, you can still do user research. You can still get user insight from your community to have a better understanding of what they want and be able to use that data to help you build a product that sells. Nobody's gonna buy a product that they don't want. So, I mean, your mom might buy it because she wants to support you, but as far as getting thousands of customers, it just doesn't work like that. Where people are now, they want to spend their money on value. People support and keep their Netflix subscription every month because of the value that the company brings. When you think of when somebody wants to be entertained, Netflix does that for them. There's no if, there's no confusion. You see the company adding other things like games and physical locations, and that's fine, but they will never lose sight on streaming and making sure that that's the value that they bring to users. Feature alignment. Once again, just adding, I talk to startup founders all the time, and they always show me all these features that they have in the app. And I always have to tell them, you know that 80% of your users are only gonna use 20% of your features. So where did you get these feature ideas from? Have you spoken to any customers that said that they wanted these features? Or have you just been adding them because this is what you think they want? I would rather use an app that does the one thing I need right almost perfectly than an app that does what I want 50% and a bunch of other things that I'm just never gonna use. And I think that's what happens. And it's going to be hard to make revenue if you have an app that doesn't do what people want. So by getting the user insights, understanding what people want, and then building the features that these people want, you're one step away from being able to make revenue. And then lastly, designing for engagement, creating intuitive, delightful user experiences that people want to use. The Netflix platform, so easy. Whenever we're making updates, we keep all of our users in mind. We don't want to overcomplicate the experience. We don't want you to have to fumble through a bunch of things to get started. And we want that same experience wherever you are on whatever device you're using, whether it's TV, whether it's phone, whether it's a gaming system. It's about building that loyalty through building good products. These are all things, when you stack them together, it's almost as if monetization and revenue is guaranteed. And the last piece that I want to say is, once again, experimenting. Like the young lady said before, get out there, build your product, release it, try. Netflix runs so many experiments you would never know because we don't know what is the right answer. So therefore, we try different things. Whatever works, we stick with, we grow with. Whatever doesn't work, we either scrap it or we make some edits to it. But it's not about thinking that the first is the best answer. It's usually like the third or fourth solution that's the best answer. And that's why experimenting, A/B testing is so important. Don't be afraid to launch your product. Share your product. Share it with your community. The one thing I'll say before I go is just how proud and excited I am in the Moldovan startup and entrepreneurship community. The events that I've seen and I've participated in, it's just been so much support there that these are your potential customers and your community. Share your ideas with them. Learn from their feedback. Use them to help you build a better product. When you add all of this together and this is your process of moving forward, like I said, it's almost as if making money will just become easy for you as opposed to you working against that and now you're finding it so hard to make money. It's because you might have a product that people don't actually want. So the last thing I'll say before I go is growth design isn't just about making things look good. I think some of us designers can really make some amazing looking things, but it's actually about making things that work better for users and the business. So if there's one word that I want to leave you with, it's balance. Understand how to balance. Whenever you're making something, always ask yourself, is this what the business needs? Is this what the customer needs? And if it's not, keep tweaking things and keep tweaking that scale until you get to that magical spot where everything is balanced and you'll be on your way. So thank you. I'm out of time. Here's my LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me. I would love to talk more. I'll be here in the audience. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Olga, for the opportunity to be here. And congratulations to all of you. I'm just so impressed with what you have built, and I look forward to coming back and keeping in contact with all of you. Thank you. Mulțumesc.
Excellent.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Yep.
Thank you so much.